Hello YouTube, Game4you here. Today I'm going to release my GameSpeed mod for 1.14 and above. If you don't know what the mod is about, the main goal of it is basically to make redstone contraptions look more beautiful than ever. One of the things it does to achieve this is to ensure that pistons don't disappear out of nowhere, and it also allows you to have smooth animation of the pistons, even at greater distances of 32 chunks. So if you love redstone as much as I do, then this mod is definitely going to be something that you want. First up, I'm going to talk about how to install the mod, since this changed quite a bit since the first release in 1.13. Then I'm going to show you some of the things it's already been used for, so this includes the super fast 5x5 piston door. After that, I'm going to talk to you about how you can use the mod and teach you all the nifty tricks there's to it. And last up, I'm going to talk to you about future releases of the mod and future features and how you can add your little own touch to the mod and contribute towards it. So that's going to be great. Let's get straight to it. Alright, there is something that I want to say before we install the mod, and that is that GameSpeed does not change any functionality within vanilla Minecraft whatsoever. So you don't have to worry about that at all when installing the mod. However, that being said, GameSpeed is super simple to install since I'm using Fabric. So all you need to do is go on and install Fabric from their websites, and alongside it, just download an appropriate version of GameSpeed from the video description, and just install the mod like you'd normally install Fabric mods. Now, if you're unsure how to do this, there will be a short explanation in the video description, so you can go ahead and check that out. But it's super simple, and yeah, you should have no troubles whatsoever. And since I'm using Fabric, it also makes it super simple to install other mods alongside my mod. For example, I know that Optifine and the Replay mod work together with my mod, so you can definitely install those together. And yeah, other mods might also work, but I have not tested compatibility with all these. Okay, next up here we have some demonstration clips, and you can see here we have the super fast 5x5 piston door. And yeah, there are actually hundreds and hundreds of pistons firing here, and in vanilla you'd not be able to see what's going on at all, but if you slow down the game enough in GameSpeed, you'll actually be able to see the pistons firing properly. And here we have the 3x3 piston door that I released recently, and you can actually see what's going on here. Now, this is a bit of smaller builds, but in vanilla the closing would still blink like crazy, so my mod fixes that. But you might also just want to play the game normally, and personally I use the mod all the time for this, so you should be able to do that as well. And yeah, if you like it, just give it a go and see what happens. Alright, so let's get started with how to use the mod. So the first thing you need to know is that when you press G on your keyboard, you'll open this GUI where you can configure the entire mod. And the first thing you see here is client settings, and these are all the settings that are on the clients, and you can read what they do on the right of the setting if you just hover over it. Likewise, there are server settings, which are basically settings that are only present if GameSpeed is installed on the server. Then you have the hotkeys, where you can basically change, for example, this G thing, you can change it after the first time you've pressed it. So maybe I want to open it using H now, and I can do that. And then there's this last tab here, which is the info tab. So this is to tell you whether GameSpeed is installed on the server and what version is installed on both the client and on the server. So as I said, if GameSpeed is not installed, it'll say so here. But you can also actually still run using GameSpeed even if the version is not installed on the server. And you'll still experience much better looking pistons and everything will be better. Now let's go back to client settings here. So you can just click whatever setting you want to change or reset it, and it's pretty straightforward. It's not that difficult. Here all you gotta do is press the key just like in vanilla Minecraft. You can also cancel it, you can't do that in vanilla, but that is a cool feature. And so you can change this to whatever. What exactly this tick speed thing does and what all these keys do, I'll mention a bit later. So you might be wondering what exactly changed with pistons. And the answer is pretty straightforward. The animation of the piston has basically been made a lot more consistent, so it's the same pretty much every time. And also the pistons no longer disappear like they do in vanilla Minecraft. And you also have some settings that you can configure them with. So first of all, you can change the piston animation. So the default is pause at end, which looks like this. You can also have pause at beginning. So in vanilla, it might be anything between these two. It's very inconsistent, but in my mod you have any option, and so you can also choose no pause, which is super smooth. Basically, the block in front is always moving, like it's always in movement. Now, you might have noticed this piston render distance which I haven't talked about yet. But what you can basically do is you can change the render distance of the pistons that are to be rendered. Now, just changing it on the client is actually not enough. What you need to do is also have GameSpeed installed on the server to be able to change it past the vanilla, which is 4 chunks. I like to just set it to automatic. This will take whatever the highest is on the server. So in vanilla it'll just take 4, and if you're on a GameSpeed server it'll take whatever is in this setting here. So this is in server settings. You can basically change this to 0, for example, and this is what pistons would look like if you're more than 4 chunks away from the pistons. But I like to just crank this all the way up to 32 chunks, and you can actually see pistons moving 32 chunks away now, which is pretty amazing in my opinion. And just to show an example of this, I have here a bomber made by Pi, and you can see even at a distance the piston moved like you'd expect. So that's pretty much all there is to the better pistons part of this mod. But there are more features that are actually quite important to be able to work with this. So one of those important settings is something that you might already have noticed. It's this tick speed thing. So not only can you change the tick speed, it also sort of helps with synchronized ticking and some other stuff that I'll explain in a short bit. The first setting here that you see is something called shift sound pitch. This is really only changing anything if you slow down the game, and you can change the tick speed of the game by doing /tbs, typing 10 for example. That's half of what the default is. You see now it looks like that, but you might have noticed the sound still sounds the same. So if you just turn this on, shift sound pitch, it'll actually change it to half the pitch, and it'll also last twice as long. So you could speed this clip up and it would sound just like it would if you had it running at 20 TPS. Now, how do we change the TPS? Like, I can do this, /TPS and then a number. I can also even see what the TPS is 20 now. And well, how did I just change it to 20? Well, what you can do is if you go into here to hotkeys, you have all these hotkeys here. So you can reset the TPS, you can increment the TPS by 1, decrement it by 1, you can double the TPS, and you can halve the TPS. And these are all the keys to do that. I pretty much only use K and J and M. Those are the most useful ones in my opinion. So what you can do is you can press K, which will double the TPS. So the server is now running at 40 TPS. And so I can turn this on. It's very hard only to click once now. I can also go down to 10 TPS if we just press twice more. So you can see now the game is running at 10. I can even go down to 5. You can really do whatever you want. The lowest TPS setting you can have is 0.01, and that is very slow. Like, I would not be able to do anything, but you can just press M to reset the TPS and you'll be able to move immediately. Now, last up is the feature called synchronized ticking. You might remember I mentioned that earlier. There are 3 settings related to this. There's synchronization aggression, and then there's synchronization interval on the server. And you don't need to know exactly how this works. However, the reason why it's there is to make animations as consistent as possible. So this includes piston animations. And so it basically ensures that the animation will be as close to whatever you choose down here as possible. Now, this setting here, aggression here, it basically tells the mod how to do the transition between tick rates, and if you're lagging, how to handle that. So if you have low frame rates, definitely have this as high as possible. If you want the transitions to be as smooth as possible between TPS changes, then definitely have this as low as possible. I like to have it at like 0.1 or 0.05. Everything like that should work, as long as it's not 0, because that will just disable synchronized ticking altogether. Now, once you've enabled it on the clients, they also need to know when the server ticked, and this is basically what the synchronization interval is. This is how often it will synchronize. You can read more about that. What you need to know is that the lower the better, but if it's too low, then this means that it'll send a packet every single tick. So I like to have it at 5, so it sends every 5 ticks. In vanilla, if you don't have GameSpeed installed on the server, this will just be defaulted to 20 ticks. So it'll also have consistent animations on non-GameSpeed servers. So that's pretty cool. But that is pretty much all there is to know about all the features of GameSpeed. So yeah, a nifty trick here, you can just speed up things if you're waiting for something. I like to do that a lot, especially if you're also waiting for furnaces and stuff. But other than that, there are no new features so far. So yeah, hope you enjoy. But that is basically the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed my mod. I've worked a lot on it. Next up here, I'm just going to talk about the future of GameSpeed and what I plan on implementing. And it's pretty much always going to be aimed towards making redstone contraptions look better. So if you have any ideas of what looks glitchy or what you just want fixed, then write so in the comments and I'll have a look at those. And although GameSpeed doesn't change any functionality within vanilla Minecraft, then I might do so in the future with some extensions to GameSpeed. So if you have any ideas of redstone utilities that you want implemented, then write so in the comments and I'll definitely consider implementing them. And yeah, that's the end of this video, so I really hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.